again. Beauty blender. I am currently at my family's cabin, and I thought it would be fun to film outside because it's so pretty. Oh, actually, if you hear running water, we have a fountain. I thought I could do a get ready with me video because I've realized that I don't like filming videos where I'm just like sitting here. Trust me, I do enough sitting as is. Wheelchair jokes. Anywho, I thought I could talk about what it was like going to college in a wheelchair. But to do that, I want to break it into two separate videos. This one's going to cover more of the logistics side of becoming an independent student who just happens to have a disability. And then the second video is going to cover more the social aspect of being a student with a disability. I went to both a community college and a university, and that was a decision that I kind of made with my family. As much as I didn't want to admit it, we all knew that I wasn't fully prepared to just be physically independent right out of high school. So we thought that community college would be like an easier transition for me to kind of learn that independence that I needed. So let's start with the community college. They were technically accessible. There was just some things that I think could have been made a little more convenient for someone like me. I'll say, for example, they had a section for handicap parking, and it was right next to the side entrance of the building, but, and here's the caveat, the handicap like door openers were at the main entrance on the other side of the building. Yeah, technically I could get in the building, but I would either have to be able to open the door by myself, which I know isn't always possible for some people in wheelchairs, or I could just go the longer route and go to the main entrance to be able to get in. But, like, why not have the door openers by the handicap parking? Just little things like that, but they were technically accessible, so I can't be too mad about that. I changed the camera angle because I feel like half of my face is darker than the other half. One thing that I did to just make my life a little bit easier going to my class, I sat to the seat that was closest to the door, just so I didn't have to deal with getting through the obstacle course of desks and other people's like seats and backpacks and all that stuff. And one thing that I really liked about the community college was that it was much smaller classes, so you were able to really get to know who your professors were, which ended up being a blessing in disguise for me. I went to community college when I was dealing with that whole spinal fusion failure thing, so having that ability to know my professors on a more personal level and having them know what kind of student I was really helped them help me. They were able to accommodate all of my schoolwork, and I was able to learn without having to actually be in the classroom while dealing with recovery and all those things. When I went to university, I realized that there was a lot of new issues that I didn't even know I wasn't capable of doing. For example, when I was at home, I parked in the garage, so I didn't know that I was not physically able to scrape the ice off of my windshield in the morning, or I didn't deal with my own snow removal, or even little things like I can't carry the garbage out. Stuff like that that I had never really dealt with until like moving out into my own apartment. So something that I had to come to terms with was how much I needed to rely on people around me to help me when I couldn't help myself. I would ask my friend to come over occasionally and help me take the garbage out, or I would always plan to go to the grocery store with a friend, so they would push the cart, and then they would usually help me take the groceries into my house as well afterwards. Little things like that, like, if you have a buddy system, like, you'll be, and even, I remember one time, I ran through a puddle, so I had one squeaky wheel that wouldn't turn. We FaceTimed my dad, and I had a group of like 4 friends come over, and we're all just sitting here trying to figure out how to like de-gunkify my caster wheel. But you know what? We figured it out, and it was fun in the process. So one thing that I dealt with at university that I didn't before then was the possibility of Canvas transit. I'm someone who doesn't particularly love to drive, so I was like, this is perfect, I'm never driving again. I was also told that every bus is accessible, it'll be super easy, they'll get you on the lift or the ramp, whatever bus it was, strap you in, take you to class, it'll be perfect. Yeah, they technically had the resources to be accessible, aka accessible buses, but they weren't maintained. No one really knew how to use the lift or the ramp or to strap my chair in or anything like that, because I was the only student that really needed it. And I had to talk with the disability service on campus, which is a wonderful resource, by the way. But they basically explained that people that need their services have ran into these issues before and just figured out different ways of getting to class. I was pretty much the only student pressing this issue. The thing that bugged me the most was you can't advertise that you're accessible if you're not actually accessible, because I was relying on it until I realized I couldn't. There was a couple rough goes initially, but then I got in contact with people at the bus barn, and they reassured me that they are making sure that all of the buses are being kept up on maintenance and that all the ramps and lifts will be working and that everybody's getting retrained. This will not be an issue anymore. And they kept their word, because that I dealt with that the whole first year that I was at the university. And then the second year that I came back, I did not have a problem. And then it really was a more convenient option for me to use, which I would always use whenever the weather was bad. There would be like weeks at a time where it would be snowing. I got to know the bus drivers pretty darn well during those weeks. And I honestly befriended all the bus drivers. And it just happened that I would eat lunch in the same place every day, and so would they. And you'd see like 12 bus drivers coming in at once, and all of them would be like, "Hey, Taryn." I'd be like, "What up, Art? Hey, Jim." Like, the building that I had to go to class to every day, they had like 4 door openers, like 2 on each side and then on the inside as well. 2 of them never worked, literally ever. And I just knew this, and thankfully I'm somebody who's able to open my own doors. So I never even tried them anymore. But I remember heading to class one day, and I went to reach for the door, and some guy was like, "Oh, let me help you get that." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, yeah, I don't even try them anymore because I just know they don't work." And I didn't even look behind me to who I was talking to. And he was like, "Oh, really? Like, I'm going to the dean's office right now. Do you want me to report it?" And I look over, and it's this, like, some official dude in a suit, and I was like, yeah. And you know what? By the time I got out of class, that door worked. So, mention something. Don't just deal with it. But no, the initial, like, transition for both community college and university obviously is going to be tough at first, just because you don't have, like, a routine and quite in place yet to make sure that you're able to be fully independent. But just give it time. Learn to be your own advocate. Befriend anyone and everyone. And I promise things will get so much better. Finishing touch. And tasted it. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful in any kind of way. Like I said, I'm going to be making a second part to this video where I'm talking about more of the social aspect of being a student in a wheelchair. So if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comments and I'll get to them later. But until then, don't forget to love yourself, and I will see you very soon. Bye!